Hey guys and welcome. We have another Warcraft 3 PTR patch note rolling out. We hear from Blizzard twice in just under 1 week, which is pretty crazy. And not only that, but we also have a very strange under the radar message of a big Blizzard alumni returning. This is strange. Look, check this out. I have no idea what's going on at Blizzard, guys. We know there have been a lot of people leaving Blizzard. Chris Metzen, Mike Morhaime, and so on and so on and so on. And then, yesterday, seemingly not very noticeably, on the World of Warcraft forums, John Haidt, who is a general manager for Warcraft, generally that means World of Warcraft, not Warcraft 3, Citizens of Azeroth, it is with great joy that I announce Chris Metzen has joined the Warcraft leadership team as creative advisor. Chris's focus initially will be on World of Warcraft, then his work will expand to other projects across this growing franchise. Chris was one of the original team members working on the Warcraft universe back when it began in 1994, and we are so happy to be reuniting him with the world he helped create. I think it's weird. I think it's a little strange. So you had a lot of people leaving Blizzard. You had the whole sexual harassment suit. You had the whole Blizzard is changing. Their culture is changing. They're starting to put out more monetized products, less soul. Games are less finished when they're coming out. We get it, why all the big ones are leaving. And we don't know the people that have replaced the leadership and the staff and the programmers at Blizzard as much. He was going to go do his own thing. He made a board game, I believe. He made his own company and a board game. And now he's coming back. No explanation why. We're not going to be privy to a lot of the behind the door stuff. But yeah, we don't really know why he would make that decision. And some people say, oh, you know, he must need money. But I mean, he was a big one at Blizzard for a long time. I assume he has a lot of funds saved up, I would assume. Is it because Microsoft is soon taking over and he's got better hope? Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I don't know. But this just kind of stands by itself. For the rest, patch notes. There's a new patch notes post just 3 days after the first one. Again, a lot of question marks here. Look, let's talk about Reforged launch. Yeah, it was a disaster. There was some good that the game brought, especially in the pre-development and the pre-release, but overall, Reforged was kind of a big embarrassment. Then it seemed like Blizzard was going to never talk about the game again. If they don't talk about it, if they don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist, or so they think. They don't care about loyalty of their followers and their gamers and their creators anymore. They don't care about the goodwill. If they just don't talk about it, they leave it out of the Blizzard Battle.net sale, they leave it out of the investors call, everything's gonna be good. But then suddenly, new patch comes out. Balance. I just reviewed it, right? The Balance PTR patch notes. And there were some things cool and some things less. And now we have another one. Where is this coming from? I don't know, but it's kind of exciting. Maybe, I mean, I never want to overdose on copium, but maybe they will keep hitting it at this pace. I still don't understand why they're doing it though. Reforged has a bad reputation among many people, but those that love and know the game, like me and all of you that are following it, you know that the game is in a good state to play, it's competitive, it has the potential to be so much more as a golden oldie, one of the classics. Why start balancing the game now? There's still some bugs with the campaign, there's still some bugs with the custom campaign, the client is still sometimes kind of meh. Why balance? Who's asking, right? And, well, I'm asking. I think it's nice to shake up the meta, but is that really important to the people at Blizzard? Do they care about the competitive integrity of the game? Do they care about making it an esport again? I have question marks there. So, to be honest, I don't get it. But it's happening anyway. I just think we're in a weird timeline. But let's check out to see what's going to be happening. So I've done my patch review. Remo Demo's done his patch review. There's been a little town hall conversation with people like Carson, Starshape, Leon, and Starbuck. And they brought up some things, and I brought up some things, and looks like some things were quickly iterated upon already. So let's check it out. I don't know where this is coming from, but altar heroes are going to be 25 gold cheaper. That means tavern heroes, when hired as a second or third, will now not only cost 35 lumber more, but also 25 gold more. Tavern will be 425/135, and altar will be 400/100. I don't know why this would be good or bad, or how it will impact things, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to understand, right? My YouTube editor and we have a thing where he explains like sometimes the idea behind the thumbnail. He looks at the game that I played, sees the idea of the game, comes up with a thumbnail and explains why. Now I understand sometimes why the thumb is like this, like that, and I think it's awesome. Before that, you can only guess. Now also can only guess. Normally you make balance changes with a goal, but what is the goal here? I mean, we would have to guess. Well, saving some money after you get to tier 2 on your hero means you have more money for something else. But it's not addressing any imbalance between two different races, because everyone makes use of this. Oh, well, you can say, who makes use of tavern heroes the most? They're disadvantaged with this by comparison. Well, Orc and Undead mostly hire altar heroes. Yo, sounds good, Face.
I wonder if you could try a new hero today. Maybe Spectre could be fun.
Yeah, sounds good. Maybe I haven't played him in a while. Haven't played her in a while. Sounds great. The elf is the one that hires tavern heroes the most, and then human, and then undead, and then orc. So technically, this is an orc buff. That's all I can say about that. Orc almost always buys altar heroes. The exception being recent orc mirror, where we all go Headhunter Panda, Farseer Panda these days. Reverting the Headhunter gold cost change, but keeping the lumber. So Headhunter is now a staple unit. It was a really big cost increase, more than 10%. No, like what, 17% or something? And now they are reverting it. Blade Master mirror image damage increased not just 10%, but 25% of Blade Master damage. That is pretty big, man. That's a lot. That seems pretty OP to me, if I'm being honest. I mean, I think it's cool, but it seems pretty OP to me. Yeah, I think that's really strong. And it works with crit. Troll Batrider Liquid Fire no longer prevents repairs, but now reduces repair rate by 75%. Okay, 2 questions about this. First of all, bats have almost no one-on-one competitive use. So first of all, it won't affect one-on-one much at all. But when they do get used, when they are playable, it's super obnoxious that repair is not possible. They used to shut down firing back whatsoever as well. And now they slow auto attacks from towers by 80%. So this is very much in line with that. And I say, good thing. Bat is a very cheesy unit against buildings. They're particularly annoying. I wouldn't even say FFA, they're not cost efficient enough. They're particularly annoying in 4-on-4. Generally, it's the most unskilled players that can still get wins just spamming bats and killing people's castles. I love playing this style too. So this is pretty strong, and not being able to repair at all sucks. Now, one question is, will they also make sure to reduce the repair cost into a quarter of what it would used to be? Because it wouldn't be very fair if you could repair for the same cost, but you're only getting a quarter repair out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would say that the cost should also go down by a quarter. Otherwise, you're essentially paying 4 times as much for the repair cost. And while it may seem fair to cut the effectiveness of something into a quarter if that's their ability, after all, a tower has an attack speed, And if you then slow it with liquid fire, it becomes 1/5 of the effectiveness. So you could say the tower's attack speed is also worth 1/5 of what it used to be when a bat is attacking it. So why not make repair cast efficiency also 1/4 of what it used to be? But I think that's too much. I think that's not fair. I feel like you should be allowed to reduce the repair rate, but not also cost that much. That's my thought on that. Great Hall build time reduced from 150 to 135. I think this is a good thing. Outside of Tiny Great Hall, Orc can pretty much not expand because it takes 2.5 minutes to finish a Great Hall, which makes it so easy to cancel. I don't know if this is too big of a buff, 10% reduction, but even 10 seconds would help so much to create some cool styles where you can tier 1 expand, tier 2, which every race can do, but Orc. Of course, we do have a very strong Tiny Great Hall expansion. If this turns out to be quite good, then first of all, Tiny Great Hall is nerfed by comparison because it doesn't have as much time advantage anymore compared to the normal one. But in reality, it's still the same as it was before. So maybe if this is an effective buff that leads to interesting gameplay, then Tiny Great Hall should get like 5 seconds extra. I don't know, just to kind of balance things out. Unless like Orc is generally in a weak state, which would need more time in testing. But I think this is cool, 15 or 10 seconds less. Bladestorm cooldown is 3 minutes, goes to 2 minutes. I still think I won't usually take this ability. Bladestorm seems like the really strong ult that oftentimes doesn't get that much value. First of all, you can split. Secondly, it costs 200 mana, when generally you're spending everything on Windwalk all the time, and in the new patch you're going to spend it on Mirror Image. And 1 mana pot is not even enough when you have no mana in order to get Bladestorm. So many of my competitive games, when I get Blade 6, I would say in 70% of it I don't even pick the ult. Even though it's better than Animate Dead, just because you don't have mana, and generally when you get Blade 6, you were on 1 base against 1 base Night Elf, and they were moving their Tree of Eternity, and you had to do too much scouting, so you couldn't Bladestorm. I heard Remo say that he thinks all ults have mana costs that are too big. And I kind of think that's mostly true, especially if an ult is cool, fun, and strong, but you tend not to take it because of the mana cost. This is usually true for Death and Decay, Bladestorm, Animate Dead. Like, you would cast it if it costs less, but you won't because of the mana cost. I don't know if you want to do a reduction across the board, but I think it's worth considering and talking about. Siege Engine armor changed from heavy to medium. So instead of getting blasted by Chimera, they're going to get reduction in damage against Chimera. And they still have their barrage damage that was buffed by a little bit, like from 16 to 18. They're still not the main counter to Chimera because it's anti-light, like anti-many instead of anti-heavy. But this means that Siege Engines now will draw aggro from units because they are able to attack units, which is still a really weird change that I need to test and wrap my head around. But now Siege Engines will do, again, they doubled the damage again from 44 to 22. So 44 damage into Grunts, and then Grunts will slay them because of medium. Raiders will now deal less damage against Siege Engines, which is also weird, because before Raiders against Fortified, they did bonus damage. Then Heavy, it's like 100%, and now against Medium, it's reduction, like I think 75 or 50% damage. So they're essentially, Siege Engines would now be more like Mountain Giants, relatively tanky with good armor, medium armor, but they don't get the hardened skin of Mountain Giants, so it's like half a tier 2 Mountain Giant essentially, which is kind of tanky, but not really. It also means that Siege Engines, yo, Kleine Schildpad, thanks a lot for the 10 gift subs. We're doing the Warcraft patch. It also means that Siege Engines will actually die to peasants, acolytes, and peons. Because they take bonus damage from normal, which is all the workers. Sorry, Wisps. Which is good game design. Is it? Is it really? Not needing to use units to stop them? Man, listen to Remo Demo? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they still don't kill them fast. They're still workers, that's true. But it means that ghouls will destroy them. I think you can't use siege engines at all against undead, which is where they were most popular, because ghouls will destroy them. Medium makes them most likely better. I mean, medium is still worse than fortified, no matter what. So they still have siege damage. This means they will actually destroy huntresses, but huntresses also destroy them. So it's kind of the rifleman-huntress relationship. They'll get destroyed by bears, by Ancient of War. Like, I think you can just pop down 3-4 Ancient of War and they'll just destroy siege engines. So you can't use them against Undead anymore because they'll just make some Frenzy Ghouls. You can't use them anymore against Night Elf because they'll just have Ancient of War. I can still ensnare them with Raiders, even though I don't do as much damage, which is the only way that you can even crowd control siege engines outside of surrounding them. Grunts and Raiders destroy them. They will block Headhunter damage more, but like, who in their right mind goes siege engines against Orc? Burrows and towers do less damage against them. They are now tower resistant. Nerubian tower does more damage against them. I think. What about Spellbreakers? Spellbreakers will kill them. Knights will kill them. I think siege engines would be useless. Even like this, I think nobody will want to make them. Spellbreaker armor up. I disagree. I really want human to break out of the Spellbreaker mirror in human mirror. And any buff to them is not good, in my opinion. Bloodsmith Siphon mana cost reverted. I wouldn't agree with that. Blacksmith lumber cost reduced even more, which is really asking people to either tier 3 rush for knights, play Archmage Riflecaster opener, or buffs Paladin Rifle even more. Holy Light cooldown change reverted. I supported it, but they are now considering reversion. Animal War training no longer has castle requirement. Big disagree. Big disagree, in my opinion. This seems to be only useful and important. I mean, you can use it to prep knights and griffins, but it's mostly for Dragonhawks. This means Dragonhawk counter will counter Batrider Wyvern style even more, and it already did. And flying machines already did, and so did rifles. Like, everything human makes counters Wyverns, so that means that Orc cannot play like a kind of fun air style. And now with Animal War training on tier 2, they don't even need to go tier 3 to survive Batrider hits. A Batrider will already put a Hawk on 1 HP, 1%, because of the recent 50 HP buff. So now with the extra health, they will survive even more collisions, especially with armor. So I don't like this. Staff of Sanctuary cost reduced. I think Staff of Sanctuary is extremely OP. So Staff of Preservation. I would not look for a cost reduction, but increase. Speed Scroll was nerfed from 50 to 70, and it is very strong. And I think Sanctuary and Preservation are both very powerful. Orb of Fire damage up. I would disagree. This actually is kind of fun if you spam Orbs of Fire for Pitlord with Cleave. It's very strong. I feel like it was 10 before, and then they nerfed it and they gave it healing debuff. Just giving it plus 10 while keeping the healing debuff, I feel like is so strong. Do humans need
yes, it was 10 before.
4 buffs? 1 tier 3 buff, 2 tier 3 buff, buff to tier 2 air, and a prep for tier 3. There's also a buff for tier 3. Buff, reversion of a nerf. Siege engines, nobody cares, nobody made them, they still won't. There's a reversion. There's like 6 human buffs. They are performing the worst at the pro level, so maybe some buffs are nice, but I think it's a bit too much. Then Night Elf. Druids of the Talon are now piercing, if you remember, so they can destroy destroyers. And they destroy everything more, like they destroy themselves more. They have light armor, so they do more damage to themselves. They do more damage to unarmored hippogriffs, to destroyers, to frostworm, everything basically. Everything in the air takes more damage from piercing than from magic, except flying machines. You probably won't want to make them against flyings, especially now, and also in general. So with the damage reduction, they're just trying to address the bonus that they got from light, piercing versus light. And the amount that it gets nerfed... How much bonus damage is piercing against light? Is it 33 or 50%? So I wonder if this compensates. It's 150%. So they do 150. So 12 less. So they will still do a little bit more damage to... but magic has bonus against light as well, I think. I'm trying to see how much damage they will do now against the 0 armor light armor. With the magic and the piercing change. Because magic, I thought magic has bonus damage against... Let me see. Wiki Warcraft 3. There's a fan wiki that covers stats, armor. Okay, let me check this out. Frozen Throne. I hope this is up to date. Magic damage against light, 125. Piercing against light, 200%. I think that's correct. So 36 times 125. They used to do 45 damage on 0 armor, light armor. 45. And now it's going to be 24 times 2. So it's 48 or 45. So they will actually do 3 more damage on 0 armor light armor units now. 3 more damage. So that seems like a quite appropriate nerf. So basically it's still a buff across the board against everyone except gyrocopters. If you couple the piercing damage change and this one, dots are like a few points of damage, let's say 10% more against everything. Or maybe 5 to 10% more. And then against destroyers, suddenly they can hit them instead of not hit them. This seems okay. You did 36-24 instead of 34-26. Oh, wait, let me calculate again. 34 times 2. 26 times 2 is 52. 34 times 125, 42. Oh. Oh. 23% more damage to Wind Riders. Even now with piercing. So it is a massive buff against everything, actually. 23%, 24% bonus damage to all light armor without armor amount reduction. I think this should be lower still. I don't think anyone needs Night Elf to have more anti-air. Who is beating Elf with air, I ask you? Nobody. And nobody is beating them with air. They have the best counters in the game against air. I think this should be... Wait, let me see. 34 times 125 is 43. Divided by 2, 21.25. I think this 26 should be 22. Keep it the same, which opens up the possibility to now attack destroyers. Undead's owning Night Elf with air. Night Elf is owning Undead with air too. The expansion, Fairy Dragon, Gargs are a huge problem. They still will be, no? Let's check the unarmored sheet. Unarmored took 100% from magic and will take 1.5 from piercing. Yeah? Which means they took 34, 100%. They'll take 39, which is 15% extra. Like this, they do 15% extra against gargoyles compared to before. But are you gonna go DOTT against Gargs? You still get wrecked. DOTT get wrecked. Though I do like the idea that you can go for DOTT against Gargs because now you have a range advantage. And with Hippogriff, it's just no micro battle. Who has Thorns? Who has Vampiric? Who has Healscrow? Who has Nova? But I don't think you're actually playing the DOTT against Gargs. But maybe you are, with the range advantage, so you have like archers underneath it, and I don't know. Archer, DOTT, Cyclone, and some in the air. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if it'll be cost efficient, but maybe. I still think this should be a drop though. 24, 22. Yeah, the problem is maybe 6 DOTT can beat 6 Gargs, but once you have 30 each, the DOTT are going to get Frost Novad, but you'll do nothing against the Gargs in comparison. It's a waiting game that Undead can win. I would prefer not to focus too much on that matchup, because I don't think DOTT are the counter to Gargs. This should be 24 or 22, I think. So Immolation actually had a funny bug where they doubled the tick rate of the damage, which also means that they accidentally... So they did a 50% damage buff, and they doubled the tick rate of damage. It was meant to probably half the damage, but just apply it twice as often, which means same damage, right? So instead of going 10, 10, 10, it was meant to be 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. But they made an implementation programming bug so that Immolation didn't do 50% more damage, but it did 50% more damage and 100% more damage. So it was 10 and now it's 30. 3 times as much. So Immolation on the PTR the last 3 days was really funny. 3 times as much damage as it used to. But now they reduced the Immolation damage. But the question is, did they reduce the tick rate? Or is that the same? This seems to suggest that the tick rate is still the same, which means that damage of Immolation is effectively doubled from the history of Warcraft, which I think is way too good. I thought 50% was racy. So if that's the case, we'll test and we'll let you know. But if that's the case, I think that's too much. Ghoul Frenzy, they removed the HP bonus. Okay, very short experiment. I mentioned that this could be a racy experiment. Lich Frost Nova damage reduced. I think I support this. It's like the best spell in the game almost. Massive slow, movement slow, attack speed slow, AoE damage, single target nuke, and it has an instant cast point. It's insane. So this is really good. I heard that the discussion with Starbuck, etc. yesterday yielded this desire. Haunted Goldmine build time increased. I think that's correct. Undead took about 5-6 buffs to their expansion playstyle. We went from the year 2005 to 2015, where Undeads for 10 years could never expand ever. They would just squeeze their toothpaste tube until there was no toothpaste left, and then unsummon, final all in, and over. Their expansion was so bad that nobody played it. There's 2 things that changed. Skill level increased, flexibility increased. People grew up, matured, and got more open-mindedness. Especially the leader of the Undead race was very stubborn, but he became a lot more intelligent, and now he's the best player in the world. Happy. And then there was also a number of buffs. They buffed Acolyte armor, Acolyte regen rate, Acolyte movement speed, Acolyte HP, Nerubian, Goldmine, Blight radius reveal, Necropolis cost, Goldmine cost. So there was like 7-8 buffs to Undead that enabled expansion, and now Undead Expo is like really, really strong. If Undead has Expo against any other race, generally they win, and it became so easy to do. Lich Expo against Human, Expo against Night Elf became more common, DK Expo usually. And then if Undead takes a counter expansion against Orc, also very strong. 20 seconds is a lot. Again, I would be careful not to over nerf it, because it is a fun option for Undeads. They never had that option. Now they've had it for like a year or 2. Maybe 110 seconds, not 120. Death Knight animated dead corpse are still attackable, but no longer dispellable. I think that's fine. Dispelling an ult feels really lame. Perhaps they should give the same treatment to the Doom Guard of Pitlord. It's still dispellable. Obsidian Statue Spirit Torch Mana Restore reduced from 3 to 2. Come on, can I get some bone zones, guys? Anyway, I think this is maybe the biggest patch change of all, and the most needed. the value of mana has gone up and up and up. Our understanding of the value of mana has gone up and up, which is why Greater Mana Potion got nerfed, Brilliance got nerfed, Mana Potion got nerfed, then buffed again. Mana Burn got nerfed, Siphon Mana maybe got nerfed, but it got unnerfed. All in all, mana is very valuable. And this is part of the reason why Night Elf became so good and became top 1 race for a while, because Moonwells got buffed, which meant more mana for everyone. Bears of the Claw, Druids of the Claw are better now in the last year or two because randomly Blizzard gave them a mana buff. Druids of the Claw now come out of the gate with 2 rejuvenates in them instead of 1. Most of Warcraft they only had enough for 1, now they have 2. It's pretty crazy, which is why Druids are quite strong. I think they should just reverse that. But anyway, this is a really big nerf, but I think it is very needed. If this is hitting Undead too hard, buff something else, like Abominations or Necromancers. Because statues give more mana than level 3 Brilliance. Especially with how you can toggle both health and mana with one statue. I mean, everybody knows if you fight Undead, they have no health left, no mana left. 30 seconds later you fight, you're gonna get nuked twice again. It's crazy. So I think it's good. And then some bug fix. I think this is exciting that they're making iterations. This might not be the last one yet. I want to thank everyone that's working on it and for listening to our feedback. And I hope we get presented with some new kick-ass meta. Thanks for watching. Bye.